Welcome back. Today I want to talk about polarity. Polarity, what is that? You may have never heard this term in terms of the spiritual life. This is a concept that was given to me by my teacher Ashok Singh, and this video is dedicated to him. I want to introduce this fascinating problem that the yogi might encounter as he cleanses himself and goes deep into meditation. So let's get into it. Polarity is such a fascinating problem. When we go into meditation, we have the potential to contact the higher nervous system. And by that, I mean everything that has ever inspired us, ever, to write poetry, to speak of love, to go out and voyage for truth, to search for meaning, all of that that we all know about, that we've heard about, that we look up to somebody else for, and we say, that's amazing. All of that, very inspiring, all of that came from their upper nervous system. And when we go deep in meditation and we touch on that love or that overwhelming peace and calmness and joy and bliss, all of that is taking place in the upper nervous system. And when you touch on the right hippocampus, for example, the pure experience of that, when you really touch on it, it is so overwhelming that you will come out and you'll go, I know, and I got to tell you about it. And you won't even know what to say sometimes. You'll just have this overwhelming feeling from touching on that, from touching on the right hippocampus and touching on the upper nervous system. You'll just be so overwhelmed that you're just sure you've got to share it somehow. And that's very, very normal from the heart up. That upper nervous system is overwhelmingly inspirational. And so what happens, that's good, right? But what can happen, what Ashok Ji warned me about when he gave me the second original Kriya was, I want to talk to you about polarity and how that inspiration can go wrong. And so what can happen is we touch on that upper nervous system, that inspiration, that overwhelming bliss and joy. We get a charge of that higher nervous system, which can be so enlivening. You know, in so many traditions, they talk about being twice born. And when you touch on some of these things, it can be so big and overwhelming that you will say to yourself, I've never lived before. This is me living for the first time. I came out of a samadhi one time and I go, oh my God, I'm going back to the mud ball. Because it was so high and ecstatic. I came back to normal and it was like, oh, we're back on the mud ball. So that's why we talk about being twice born. That's why you keep hearing this phrase in many religious and spiritual systems about being twice born, because you will come back and you will feel that way. I am born again. I've never lived before, and now I'm really living for the first time. So when you grab some of that charge from that experience, but you didn't finish cleaning all of the content in the lower chakras, all of our subconscious material that we gathered as we progressed through life, all of the bumps and hurts and psychological pains and traumas that we all carry inside of our baggage, right? We take that charge and then we didn't finish all of that, and the charge comes down and it mixes with that lower baggage, and now you have a polarity problem. And so what that looks like normally is you will go into meditation and you will feel so calm and so peaceful and everything is perfect. And then you'll come out and somebody will do anything, little thing which is wrong or out of place, and you'll go, bah! You'll just blow up on them, right? And you'll be watching yourself and you'll go, what just happened? I was so peaceful and so calm, and then this little thing came along and I just blew up. I just blew up. What is going on? This is a problem of polarity. And it doesn't matter if you're doing the second Kriya of Lahiri Baba, or if you're doing any spiritual practice which is putting you in contact with the higher nervous system. If we haven't finished cleaning out the lower chakras and all of the issues that go with them, anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, if we haven't finished washing a good percentage, it doesn't have to work, it's never going to be perfect, okay? But if we haven't washed out some of that, a good percentage of it, we can encounter this problem of polarity. And if you take that problem 20 or 50 steps farther, you have, a real religious problem where somebody is committing a huge crime in the name of God. And you can say, how do these two things fit together? We have God and this horrible thing that this person did. How did that happen? Well, of course, it's all because they didn't clean out those lower centers, and they're using the name, and they're getting that tiny contact and mixing it horribly with their issues in the lower centers. So that's what it looks like when you take it way too far. But for you and me, it's probably going to be, just a very peaceful meditation, and we're feeling great and we're blissed out, and somebody does something and we just blow up at them. And that's the polarity. So what do we do about it? If we encounter that in our spiritual life, what do we do about that? Ashok was very clear and simple. He said, if this comes up, go back and only do the first Kriya. And the first Kriya, as we know from Lahiri Baba, you don't have to know it from me, but if you know it from Lahiri Baba, the first Kriya has the Om Japa in it. That's what he said in his writings to his students. Kriya Yoga without Om Japa is tamasic. That was his letters to his students, and his family wanted everybody to know that. That's why they put it in the letters, the 108 letters from Lahiri Baba to his students and back and forth. And it repeats about 3 times through the whole book. They really wanted to drive this home. Kriya Yoga without Om Japa is tamasic. So whatever we're doing, whatever spiritual practice that we might be doing, it might be a very good idea to go down into the lower 3 centers, the 3rd center especially, and wash it out as much as possible. Those lower 3 centers, we want to wash them out with the Om Japa therapy. And so people say, they don't have a reference for this. So if you don't have a reference for this, well, you just put your mind there in the chakra, starting from the first and then working your way up. And you just mentally Om into the chakra. And it's not a picture, it's a feeling. It's a sound and a feeling. You can picture it too, but don't think you have to picture it and that's going to make it more powerful. It's the feeling. You feel into the center, and then you Om into the center, and then you feel what is the response. What is the end effect of all of that? Can I feel a difference? Do I feel more peace, more calm? Do I feel more clean, strangely? All of that, all of those are huge signs that you are doing it correctly and you are avoiding this problem of polarity. And if you do encounter it, don't worry about it. You blow up, you just go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then you go back and you do the Om Japa in those chakras, in the lower centers especially, and try and clean it out before we come back to touch again on that inspiration, which lifts us up so high that we feel like we're born again. That's polarity. Isn't it amazing? Did you ever hear that before? That comes from the brilliance of Ashok Singh, and I'm so grateful to him. I will always be grateful to him for always pointing me in the right direction. So I hope you loved this. If you did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you